G'day and welcome to another one of my videos. Today I'm going to have a look at the basics of simplifying fractions. Well, when we simplify a fraction, we try to find an equivalent fraction that has smaller numbers and is easier to recognize or understand. To simplify a fraction, we divide both the numerator and the denominator by the highest common factor, the largest number possible. And what that does is that makes the numerator and denominator as small as possible and easier to recognize. If the highest common factor of both the numerator and denominator is 1, then the fraction does not simplify. So for instance, let's have a look at the fraction 9/15. We're going to take a rectangle and we're going to cut it into 15 equal pieces and colour in 9 of them. So there it is, 9 out of the 15 pieces. But what we're trying to do is to cut it into the least number of pieces possible without destroying or changing the number that we've actually coloured in there. So what we're going to do is I've now cut it into 5 pieces, and you'll notice I've got 5 pieces altogether and 3 of them completely coloured in. So we can now say that 9/15 is the same as 3/5. They're equivalent fractions, and we've changed the 9/15 down as small as possible. So there's our 9/15, and it's the same as 3/5. Let's take another example. For instance, let's take 2/8. So we're going to take a shape and we're going to cut it into 8 equal pieces and colour in 2 of them. So there's our 8 pieces, and we'll colour in 2 of them as suggested by the numerator. So what we're going to do is try and cut that into larger pieces, larger equivalent pieces, to make it into a smaller fraction. So same amount coloured in, but we've now only got it into 4 equal pieces, and we've got 1 of those 4 that are coloured in. So equivalent fractions, 2/8 is the same as 1/4, as shown by the diagram there. Well, let's just look at those 2 previous examples again, but we're not going to use diagrams because quite often we want to get better and quicker, so the diagrams are just going to slow us down. So our 9/15, our factors of 9, so all the numbers that divide into 9 without a remainder, so 1, 3 and 9. So 1 times 9 and 3 times 3 are our factors of 9. If we look at our factors of 15, all the numbers that multiply together to give 15, we've got 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. So we've got 4 factors there and only 3 factors of 9. But we want to find our highest common factor, the largest number possible that's common in both. You'll notice that's 3. 1's common in all of them. 3 is our largest one. So what we need to do is have an equivalent fraction by dividing the numerator and denominator by 3. And when we do so, we get 3/5. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 9/15 simplifies to 3/5. Now this is of course without using a calculator. If you use a calculator, you just type in the fraction in your calculator and press equals, and it will simplify it for you. So our second example that we looked at before with our diagrams was 2/8. Let's have a look at our factors of 2. The numbers that multiply together to give 2 are just 1 and 2. And our factors of 8, the numbers that multiply together to give 8 are 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. And the largest one that's common in both of them, our highest common factor, is 2. And it does make it easier if you place your factors in ascending order. It makes it easier to find your largest factor there. So let's now divide our numerator and denominator by that highest common factor. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 2/8 simplifies down to 1/4. So let's just have a look at some examples. Let's simplify each of the following fractions. So 12/20. So the factors of 12, there's a few of them. There's 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Remembering, place them in ascending order makes it a lot easier to find our highest common factor. Our factors of 20, 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. And to simplify the fractions, we want to find the highest one that they've got in common, so our highest common factor. So 1, 2, and 4 are our common ones, so our highest common factor is 4. So what we now need to do is to take our numerator and divide it by 4, and our denominator and divide it by 4, and we get our simplified fraction 3/5. So 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. So here's another example. Let's simplify 25 over 30. So if I cut up a shape into 30 equal pieces and coloured in 25 of them, that's the same as what we'll find out in a moment. First of all, factors of 25, 1 times 25 and 5 times 5. So there's only 3 factors. And factors of 30, well, there's a few of them. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and 5 times 6. Again, place them in ascending order makes it easier. Our common ones are 1 and 5. So our highest common factor is 5. Now to simplify this fraction, let's divide both the numerator and denominator by that highest common factor. So 25 divided by 5 is 5, and 30 divided by 5 is 6. So we get 5/6. Again, if you were allowed to use calculators, just type that fraction into your calculator and press equals. And if you've got a scientific calculator, it will simplify it for you. So here's another example, 8 on 32. So this time I'm going to do some things in my head. Our highest common factor is 8. So remember, if you want to, you can write down what your factors of 8 are and your factors of 32 and find that your highest common factor is 8. Now divide that numerator and denominator by that highest common factor. So 8 divided by 8 is 1, and 32 divided by 8 is 4. So 8 on 32 is the same as 1/4. Another example, we've got a mixed numeral, but just because we have a whole number out the front here doesn't mean we can't simplify this part of the fraction. So again, let's look for our highest common factor of 14 and 35. It happens to be 7. The highest common factor is 7. So what we now do is our 4 is going to remain unchanged, 4 wholes, and we just do the fraction part. 14 divided by 7 is 2, and 35 divided by 7 is 5. So this fraction here simplifies down to 4 and 2/5. So let's have a look at a harder example. So fractions should not have decimals or fractions within the fraction. So let's look at how we simplify this one. Yes, you could use a calculator and put that in your calculator and press equals, and it should simplify it for you. But without a calculator, you'll notice that the numerator has 2 decimal places and the denominator has 1 decimal place there. So 2 numbers after the decimal point and 1 number after the decimal point. So what that means is we need to multiply both the numerator and denominator by 100 first of all to eliminate the decimals. If I only multiply them both by 10, it doesn't eliminate the decimal in the numerator. So that's why we've got to multiply by 100 because of the 2 numbers after the decimal point. So 0.02 times 100 and 0.5 by 100, and we get 2 over 50. Now that is not the simplified answer. Sometimes it will be, but it's not. What you'll notice is we can now simplify that because the highest common factor of 2 and 50 is 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 50 divided by 2 gives us 25. So a much harder example there. And we'll do one more. A fraction within a fraction, so a half over 3/4. So the fraction in the numerator has a denominator of 2, and the fraction in the denominator has a denominator of 4. So we must multiply both the numerator and denominator by the lowest common multiple. in this case is 4. So multiply it by the largest of the 2 or the 4, which is 4. And so what we'll end up there is a half times 4 and 3/4 times 4 will get rid of the fraction in the numerator and denominator. So half times 4 is 2, and 3/4 times 4 is 3. And sometimes that may simplify as well, but that is now the simplified answer. So 2 more challenging examples there. Not everyone will be able to do those without using their calculator, but what you now need to do is just practice some more, and practice again, and the more you do so, the easier the fractions will become. So thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful.